My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft.
Alrighty, it is 9:17 a.m. on Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, where the entity is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring and furtherance of murder with the weirdo demons who include the Ontario so-called police department. It's not a police department, everybody knows that. These are demons that are engaging in what is demonic activity, and they do so by playing dress up as police officers that want to be given the authority under the law to maintain what is actually criminal surveillance. That is being handled in the prosecution and the disbanding and the federal imprisonment of terrorist leaders like Mike Lorenz and the kidnappers like L. Edwards, absolutely mentally ill, okay, feces eaters and light slingers, gargoyles, okay, that are engaging in criminal activity while behind these uniforms that they wear. And then they're doing so with the psychopaths that are stalking with using whole airline companies, engaging in what is massive surveillance, speaking to the investment in this criminal surveillance system in organized crime and murder amongst the mentally ill who are demon possessed, which is speaking to what is no religious right whatsoever, especially by a public entity, but no religious right while the entity is engaging in what is satanic conduct that is the cause for their psychopathic behavioral health issues that are a threat to other people and themselves, i.e. gang stalking, okay? This is relevant to what is German, an immigrant engaging in what is defaming my character while gang stalking with that department, okay? This is P.O.C. Armor, body armor is gang stalking. They're under the fake sun at 9:16 a.m. The fake sun's over this venue at 2:46 p.m. German is both gang stalking and defaming my character, while the demons that are purchasing from Chevron, a gang stalker, are threatening my life in real time. This is relevant regarding defamation and the malicious assertions made while monitoring at Chevron. 4SM5722 is gang stalking with Chevron and the airport. You'll see all these images uploaded. And you also remember the same company, these demons that are stalking me inside of the market. Inside of this tiny little market, West Coast arborists gang stalking me inside of the market, keeping me under surveillance, engineer light in the shade in front of the door for the gang stalking purposes of the employees and the patrons, all demons alike, while the demons of the Ontario police are stalking me by helicopter and pacing all around me, just like the rest of the mentally ill feces eaters and gargoyles while I'm at Chevron, just with regard to isolating this venue that's sharing in a statewide P.O.C. Balbier's license plate is 9 Edward Frank Henry 194, and she is inside of the venue terrorizing me in concert with the people of the state. Good morning, Balbier. I have a question. I spoke with German. You know German? Was there a problem yesterday when I made a purchase? Me? Yeah, he referenced the only woman that I know at Chevron. You're the only one, because the only other person I met was Carrie. So there's you, Carrie, and I don't know if any other female. But nonetheless, I bought a drink from you yesterday. Did something happen? Yeah, why would German say that? Well, maybe you don't know what he said. German told me that I stole something. And he told me without giving me any opportunity to show my receipt that you gave me this yesterday morning when I made a purchase. The receipt that I got from Carrie when I made a purchase from him the day before that. And the fact that I don't steal and I've never had any sort of encounter, and nor did we have a conversation, because you have gotten my attention before about, remember the chips? Remember the chips? And you were asking me, am I going to keep them here? Yeah, that was on time, but that's just an example of when you don't have any problem speaking to me, and we've never had a conversation to that ever before. So I don't know why Germans would make those accusations. Unless there's somebody else that looks like me, I doubt it. But unless there's somebody else that looks like me on camera, because I was told last night that I stole from Chevron, and I just want to be clear.
I remember one time I misunderstand. I think this too.
But not misunderstanding theft, though.
Long
We've never
time
had that misunderstanding ever, ever.
No.
Oh, okay, I'm just stating I don't understand, and not only that, for it to be a misunderstanding. German was very, very disrespectful, very rude, and I'm a regular customer here.
Okay, I don't think so.
If it's something where you guys don't want me to come in anymore, then that's one thing, okay?
Come with, I understand you, okay?
But if you're talking about theft, that's another situation, okay? But I just wanted to bring that up to you because you guys, I know you so well because I shop all the time and I know your name.
Yeah.
And he's the nighttime clerk, and that's what he said. And he's speaking on behalf of Chevron. Right? Okay. So, do you know anything about that? What are you talking about?
No, I will talk to you.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead. Because I'm going to buy a beverage and then I'm going to go on.
Credit for gas.
How much?
Number 5, $40. I said number 5, $40.
Yes. I hold that. Did you have the water?
All black. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, and pursuant to the pattern of conduct of targeting, the merchandise that I buy is now out of stock. Nobody buys them. They've been full for months. And the moment that I buy them, that particular specific one is out of stock. Thank you. It's another means of targeting. Alrighty. The coconut flavor got really popular, huh?
Yeah, coconut, very popular. No more, huh?
That's
We
the
just
one I
got
bought.
it.
Oh, okay. Alrighty, that'll be it. I'm gonna pay with this.
Yes.
Okay. Oops. Let me try again. Perhaps it's German that doesn't want me to come into the store, and that's fine. I still have a problem with Chevron. I'm going to have to deal with that. But thank you, Valver. I wanted to confirm that with you. Because he's speaking on behalf of you and other people. And I'm like, I just dealt with Chevron. I bought something from you this morning. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day, ma'am. Alrighty, during the midst of that conversation, I'm being molested with impossible light. You're dealing with psychopaths, and that's okay because I'm going to deal with in a case in court. While they're engaged in light slinging, they're going into asylums, they're going to be deported, and they're going to prison. Okay, 62532 Henry 3. The demons that are stalking in commercial planes, there's going to be a whole airport missing in the state of California while they're engaging what is playing with their own lives. And it's showing, I want to be clear, they'll regret in court hearings the fact that they made literally commercials and advertisement regarding their severe mental illness. 9JD and 181 included, impossible light across the roof of the gas stall hood while they're stalking under the fake sun at the Chevron, where you see the fake sun over me at the same Chevron at 2:46 p.m. 8 LAG 078 is monitoring while that impossible light activity moves over their head. They share mental illness. 9 SYE 834 engage in that pattern of conduct with the demons inside of the Chevron, the demons across from the Chevron. That includes the demons inside of Starbucks across from the Chevron, where the fake sun is setting at 7 in the evening through the drive-through window. Impossible light activity, the impossibility of this environment that I have proven and that science supports is impossible, but I have proven the existence of the impossible in order to avoid what is defamation, which is the purpose of what demons are doing, engaging in conduct that you've never heard of, conduct that is impossible to naturally occur, so that you would be criminally defamed if you even tried to speak of it. Because what do you call a light source that's in the sky in an impossible manner for the duration of the day at one address, other than a fake sun? And absent evidence to prove it, then you'll never know that German is a gang-stalking sex offender, a vagina monitor, a third-party agent of the terrorist organization that's stalking you day and night in helicopter, and you have no evidence of that. They're going to mental asylums and prison for it, because that level of malice is the formula for murder and kidnapping and defamation. And what these demons, these psychopaths, Jason Fields and Tracy Banks, conspired to steal my money, have tantric sex all over it, and then travel the world while I'm sitting up being battered every day, putting drugs in my body as though I'm mentally ill. Actually, that's their fate. They're going to prison. That's the whole purpose behind that. And that's why you also document, because Satan is a liar. And these gang-stalking immigrants are being deported. Understand the lies that are coming out of a German's mouth. Just because you're mad because I'm documenting Chevron. Just because you're mad because let me be clear, the entity's mental illness, because they don't have any self-control, they certainly don't have any strategy in court. They don't have any plan to make any sort of responses in a courtroom. They didn't plan for that. It's going to be utter silence. With regard to stalking, proven by a whole airport, that airport is going to be missing. It will no longer exist. While the entities engaging in criminal activity, doing so with the gang-stalking immigrants, lying on my character, while they're also, not coincidentally, pay attention, who's lying on my character? The one that's surrounded by evidence of targeting and conspiring my murder. That's who's lying on my character. And that's who's also going to federal prison. Doing so on behalf of the demons that are heavily stalking, and they're also heavily documented as absurdly mentally ill. They're going into mental asylums and they're going to prison. Those are the demons of the Ontario Police Department. On whose behalf the people of the state lie and criminally summon them while they are obsessing over my vagina, wanting any excuse to be in my presence while they are stalking. That's all they are all doing, is stalking in this environment that surrounds me. And that's speaking to the reality of the proof of mental illness, which needs to be studied. The demon-possessed have carved out their own little area with regard to mental illness that wants to present amongst the population as sanity. That's understanding the malice behind psychopathic behavior. They have created a whole area which needs to be fully fleshed out with regard to understanding this criminal activity that is produced from this type of mental illness. And it is relevant to what is the condition, the invisible condition, that you cannot disregard with regard to the spiritual cause of it. And by the way, while you're practicing medicine, even if you claim to be an atheist, you are always dealing with the spiritual, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. You're just ignorant if you want to be defiant toward it, but you're just ignorant. And I want to be clear, your ignorance is a disqualification from the medical field, because when you're dealing with people's thoughts and you're dealing with people's behavior, you are inherently dealing with the spiritual. Those thoughts and those motivations are invisible. That's the spiritual. That's what is making up the personality. That's what's making up the decisions that they make, the poor decisions that the mentally ill are making while they're engaged in criminal activity. That is a reference to what is in the spiritual realm, regardless of whether you want to acknowledge that or not. But in the same way that the fake sun will never become a natural environment, no matter how heavily these psychopaths who are delusional are stalking under a day and night, It is hard evidence of mental illness which is directly informing their federal prosecution and what are inevitable repercussions based on their condition and the decisions that they knowingly and intentionally and maliciously made while they kept the evidence of them targeting somebody under surveillance at that. Okay, so I just want to be clear. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct is directly relevant. It is caused by what is demon possession, the presence, the reality of Satan. And this is coming to you courtesy of Christ Jesus, who is coming back. And it's a warning. It's a warning. This is a warning. He is coming back, and he's coming back in judgment. Okay? This is P.O.C. The mentally ill have forfeited their ability to stay in this country. They're being deported out of this country. Their children are not a license to stay. Their children create an urgency to deport them sooner. Okay? The entities engaging in this, and you're looking at that pattern of conduct, speaking to obsession with what is a fantasy. 70XH457. They're all stalking on behalf of the Ontario Police and the City of Ontario. All of these demons are being stripped of their positions, and many of them are going to prison. 9DVW583. They're all sitting around stalking behind a fantasy that's never going to come to fruition. They're going into mental asylums. They're going to prison. They're being deported. They're going to be impoverished in some other country and never permitted to come back. And that's not me wishing evil. This is what they have reaped on themselves. They reaped it behind a fantasy that's not even going to happen. And they're so mentally ill in the face of all the evidence of it's not going to happen. They're still engaging in it. That's why the airport is being shut down. That's why the police department's being disbanded. That's why the terrorist leader, Mike Lorenz, is going to prison. He is. He's going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, like I stated, November 25th, 2025. American citizens shouldn't have to deal with what it is that I've exposed. And they deal with it in the absence of evidence to prove that they are perfectly sane and that they're being targeted by the government that is mentally sick as a whole population. The demon-possessed, they want to give birth to babies and they want to be looked at as qualified and upright, law-abiding citizens, normal, having feelings like you and I. They're demons. They're dead. That's why they do things like stalk American citizens in helicopters and make up outrageous lies about their character for no reason. That's why they're out stalking day and night people that they don't even know. They're dead. These are not normal people. And this abnormal population is going to be put in the place, in the circumstances that they need to be put in for the protection of the public. This is P.O.C. That's audible activity under the fake sun. Remember, the entity keeps the fake sun over me on Sunday as I arrive at the OVITT Family Community Library after 2 p.m. And it's not 10 o'clock, it's 9:30 and the fake sun's over me. Well, Sarah's Regis Group is gang stalking. That's what that audible activity, it's all specific to that targeted individual. While they maintain conversations as though I'm the last person that they're focused on. When you listen to the background as I'm documenting these demons that are mentally ill, stalking under a fake sun. The entity is engaging in that while they are exhibiting what is severe mental instability. You're literally going to study that. With regard to understanding what is delusional behavior. The demon-possessed, literally, it's the gang group thought process. If they all just continue the act, just never give up the act. If they really believe if you just give up if you just continue with the act, then that's going to, and no, actually not at all. In fact, your act is evidence of your mental illness. It is not hidden whatsoever. At all. And you're looking at it crosses all demographics, all ages, including the psychopath's children that curse this country with their demons that they give birth to, that are being trained to be terrorists. Okay? With regard to how the United States is engaging in what is public corruption as a society. They're trained, and they are engaging in what is terrorism with their demon-possessed gang-stalking parents, their demon-possessed gang-stalking community, their demon-possessed gang-stalking government. And they believe, and that's because they're dead. So the demon-possessed that are all following Satan off the precipice of death, they engage in, well, if we all keep up the same act, if we all together, no, actually, that's how you come up with things like criminal defamation, for which you're going to prison, because facts remain facts, and it will never become a fact because all of the dead are acting in agreement to it. That's the entity that's engaging in that same gang conduct. Nobody's exercising any individual thought. Nobody. They're all following each other, and they're following each other to what is an inevitable demise. Satan loses. Satan loses. The demon-possessed that are Team Satan, okay, they all hold up signs while they're losing. They all hold up signs that state winner, 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 and those are the losers. That's literally the behavior of the demon-possessed. Nobody's persuaded by that. Nobody, not even them. This is desperation. This is mental illness. This is delusional. This is what the entity is engaging in. Okay, L. Edwards is exhibiting severe mental illness while being at the bus stop under the fake sun. As I documented yesterday, and this is why I show you, listen to what comes out of the face of a psychopath. Listen to the things that he's referring to while he is being diagnosed, while he is gang stalking literally at that bus stop under a fake sun, wearing that uniform, making those statements. He is being diagnosed in real time. He's also going to prison. He's also serving for what are all of his co-defendants going to prison. And those are the demons of the people of the state and the companies that I'm going to prosecute, who are gang stalking together, sharing in mental illness. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently 9:34 a.m. I'm documenting what is the entity that is targeting me. Balbir is doesn't have any facts. Okay, so I'm already knowing what excuse that grammar. I am already aware of what Balbir's statements are going to be because it didn't happen. Number one, and number two, this is somebody that doesn't mean that she's not gang stalking. It doesn't. None of that. These are facts that are unchanged. I'm dealing with people all the time that are friendly, that are nice. That does not mean that they're not gang stalking because I maintain a professional demeanor, because I know that they're malicious psychopaths, because I know that they're duplicitous maniacs. Literally, that's not name calling. The fake sun doesn't go anywhere when they're smiling, okay? The entity's stalking by helicopter. It doesn't change when you're offering me a free drink because you're in a good mood or something or whatever. The entity's engaging in the pattern of conduct. That's unchanging. This is what, again, these are facts that the demon possessed that Satan cannot deal with. They literally exist amongst illusions. So now when they are stapled, glued, gorilla glued, tethered to, cemented to, committed to facts that do not change. They are objective. The mentally ill are having a publicly exposed crash out, while all of their lies, including the makeup of their whole fake civilization, comes apart at the seams. And every time I'm capturing video and I speak the truth, what comes out of the distance? The demon stalking in helicopter. How does that help L. Edwards' diagnosis that's occurring on the internet? Because I just told you in the video that I captured that he's a psychopath, that he's projecting his own mental illness. He's standing at the exact bus stop where the entity is stalking day and night by helicopter, stalking as an agency, in other words, shared in a pattern of conduct with the demon-possessed people of the state, obsessing over my vagina, engaging in what is sexual violence together as they obsess over my vagina, engaging in what is stalking me day and night as they obsess over me and my vagina, and wherever it is that I take her, they are engaging in what is stalking. And they're embarrassed because they're mentally ill and everybody knows it. Everyone knows it. The entity engages in what is stalking in helicopter when they're triggered by the truth of what, let's look at what L. Edwards is standing under at 9, and let's look at what's over me at 2:46 p.m. at the same address. This psychopath that's going to be stripped of this uniform and this badge, and he's going to prison. Okay? Now that's the mental illness, the audible activity of a monitoring demon who is mentally ill, who is going to prison. It is shared with the people of the state. The gargoyles that sling light, and then they want you to forget about that and look at them like they're some normal, sane person. They're delusional. You haven't forgotten anything, and neither in any federal investigation or federal case is that ever the circumstance, ever, in a competent one, in ones held by the demon-possessed like Jason Fields. Oh yeah, they forget all type of information. But that's not what's happening. That's why I investigated the federal government, because that demon's going to prison. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and this is speaking to what is incompetence, not just professional incompetence, mental incompetence, which is directly relevant to their professional incompetence, to the fact that they're untrustworthy, to the fact that they're malicious and delusional and psychopathic and obsessed, entirely corrupt. And it has to come from the mouth of somebody that I have no reason to lie, because I don't have any reason to make up anything. I didn't start targeting myself. And so since you started targeting me, everybody's going to be exposed. Not just the demons that were engaging in what is initiating, which is LAPD actually, and Pomona Police. But since the entity started targeting, and Upland Police, I moved away from San Bernardino County. I relocated to LA. This entity would not let me live my life which I'm fully capable of doing. I have a law license. I could go anywhere I want and start my life over, get another job, buy a house, move on. The entity didn't want to do that. And so now the entire operation is being exposed. And you have people that are going to prison and they're not getting out because this entity didn't want to mind its own business. Now that's called reaping. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while their mental illness is being put on full display, and they are going to reap the consequences while they are being engaged in what is a criminal system that attaches all of them together. All of them. P.O.C. That's the entity stalking from Chevron, now over the Ontario Town Square. Okay? The African that's engaging in gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport and Wells Fargo, the OVITT Family Community Library, Sarah's Regis Group. These are the demons that are stalking from an airport that has no landings or takeoffs that are occurring here. And while they're sounding that plane activity, don't forget about the entity that's dipping behind the Ontario Town Square amphitheater like they're landing right here on the same grassland. And don't forget about the fact that the sun is documented setting right here, where these demons are stalking the commercial airlines that are full of the demon possessed that are obsessed with me and my vagina. Okay, the sex offenders go into the bathroom, stalking in concert with these demons that are stalking throughout the city of Ontario, where there are no landings and takeoffs, and none of this public nuisance conduct is occurring when the airport is minding its business and not engaging in what is stalking. Stalking the person that's going to prosecute you for it. In fact, the entirety of that airport is going to be MIA. Ontario will not have any airport. It's totally being removed. It's being shut down behind stalking Erica Lorraine Spencer. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:40 a.m. and that's what's relevant regarding a whole population of demons that are stalking. The demon possessed lose, and they lose all the time. The demon possessed really thought that it was a numbers game, and if all the demons together hold up the sign and together state that we're winning even as they're losing, that means that they're going to manifest some sort of winning. Manifesting is not possible for demons that are inextricably linked to what is judgment by Christ Jesus. You've not only lost, you've lost worldwide. All over the globe, they're watching you lose. They're watching you lose your mind, lose your credibility, lose your footing. You're losing your citizenship, you're losing your freedom, you're losing your career, you're losing whatever salary, whatever position you had, you're losing everything. Everything that you used to target me, you're losing it. You use your children to gang stalk. You don't even care about those kids. That's why they're demons that are gang stalking other people. With the government, with the neighborhood, with you. You don't even care about your spouses. These demons are monitoring me together. Their husbands are obsessed with my vagina. Their wives are obsessed with my vagina. They're stalking me as a whole family unit. They don't even care about each other. This is the reality of the demon possessed. It's pathetic. They're light-slinging gargoyles whose obsession is me. And I don't have to make that up. A fake sun rising and setting over me is speaking to the obsession of a whole population of the mentally ill who have created a whole area regarding mental health in order to study and make sure that it is known with regard to what is the mental illness that is a threat to national security. P.O.C. It is currently 9:42 a.m. on Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. And this is relevant to Chevron gang stalking me. Gang stalking is also exposed and witnessed through the targeting of the entity that maligns your character, makes up information about you. And why are they just making up? That's the ongoing evidence of them targeting you. They do it under the fake sun and an engineered light amongst the government that's stalking in planes and helicopters. And the gang stalking immigrants are being deported. Stalking with the airport, license plate 8GUF015, and so is Wells Fargo that they're on, whose property that they're on while they're gang stalking in relevant position under a fake sun. It's currently 9:42 a.m. All right, Securitas with the mop on her head. She's gang stalking with Ontario police, doing so on foot. She's usually gang stalking with light on the Securitas golf cart. The Ontario police are pacing around, so you can see them stalking by helicopter as I walk from the Ontario Town Square. Fake sun moves as I move. It's reflecting off of the rear windshield of the demon stalking in the parking lot at the 280 North Limit Apartments. This is where the fake sun is present. For example, the video of the entity stalking me as I walk out of the venue on Sunday, and the fake sun's reflecting off of the same entrance doors. 7YTN 806 is crossing paths stalking with with the police department. They share mental illness, and they also do the same thing concerning my vagina. The demon-possessed engage in what is sexual violence, and they do so in the name of the Ontario Police Department. That is going to be shut down. Okay, monitoring one's genitalia is the evidence that you, under no circumstances, are even fit to maintain or act like, in other words, a police department that's engaged in what is vagina monitoring. License 1633279, the City of Ontario. Paul Leon being removed from office for the demon-possessed that use City of Ontario vehicles, City of Ontario resources. The demon-possessed that are making up the employees of the municipality are engaged in state surveillance and furtherance of murder and vagina monitoring. P.O.C. It is currently 9:57 a.m. These demons gang stalking, license 8NSS 107. P.O.C. It is currently 9:57. The fake sun's over the entrance. Remember, on Sunday, I come at 2:46 p.m. and the fake sun's over the entrance. I exit at 4. The fake sun's over the entrance. These are the light slingers themselves, the gargoyles that are engaged in that pattern of conduct, and they're going to be deported from the country. 9EYU 118. These are enemies of this country. They're engaged in criminal conduct, and they do so with their demon-possessed children, while that are equally engaged in what is criminal conduct with their demonic parents, okay, that are terrorists, and they are making children terrorists, and 9FYF221 shares in that pattern of conduct. This P.O.C. Securitas is already subject to federal prison. They're engaged in kidnapping with the OVITT Family Community Library, as I've documented, and the entities engaging in that. And I want to be clear, the employees inside of the OVITT, they're monitoring with the Ontario Police before they open the door. Guess what? Their prize is, it's prison. They're going to prison. Okay, there's no sun that's going to be over the entrance where you're engaging in anything other than kidnapping with that agency that's been stalking, including via the demons that sit inside of this library, maintaining demonic activity all day long. Psychopaths, vagina monitors. Okay, doing so while the entity is stalking outside of the library where you work by helicopter is very foolish conduct, but it's good because these fools are going to prison. It's currently 9:59 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the entity that is stalking by helicopter as an agency is engaged in vagina monitoring and having the demons go into the bathroom to maintain surveillance. This is underway by Yesenia and Alan, the demons that you see gang stalking inside of the venue. The demons that are engaged in nothing other than relevant positioning inside of the entirety of the library and going into the bathroom is including the ongoing vagina monitoring by Mike Lorenz, who is going to be federally prosecuted for the ongoing criminal surveillance and stalking and terrorism underway, while a helicopter is following me around, and it's very exclusive because the entity is doing so under a fake sun. I show you that fake sun over the CHEVRON where that demon is stalking in a helicopter. That's over that same venue at 2:46 in the afternoon over me, where science dictates that would never and could never naturally be the case. This is the entity that is stalking in that environment, going into the bathroom stall where Yesenia is engaging with us, monitoring my vagina, pacing with the entity that goes into the bathroom, engineer light that's in that bathroom. That's where the helicopter can't go. The helicopter is present. That's the agency monitoring my vagina inside of a private space where Mike Lorenz has no legitimate interest in my or anybody else's genitalia. Even the demons that go in there engaging in surveillance through using the bathroom and engineer light under a fake sun. This is the mentally ill, the gargoyles that engage in what is defaming your character, accusing you of stealing when you have hair on your grapes. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and they can't hold up a lie, and it's also not going to hold up in court because you're going to prison and you're going to facilities with regard to vagina monitoring. It's P.O.C. That's what all these sex offenders are doing inside of the venue. They're all under a fake sun. As you see them with their demon-possessed children, they're engaged in criminal activity with children. They're engaged in sexual violence with children. They're engaged in what is all manner of that pattern of conduct as psychopaths that are pacing. And that's speaking to what is a threat to children while that mental illness is exercising custody and control over minors who are engaging in this criminal system with a population of the mentally ill that engage in sick things like bathroom monitoring. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:39 a.m. All right, the demon-possessed obsession with my genitalia is what is necessitating martial law, by the way. The entity that is mentally ill is what is necessitating martial law. The sexual violence and the lawlessness of the mentally ill that are engaged in terrorism is what is necessitating martial law. It's 10:40 a.m., by the way, at OVITT Family Community Library, a deceptive misnomer where they have impossible light flinging through the venue, which is a direct reference to the mental illness that surrounds while they're engaging in stalking in places like the bathroom. The mentally ill are in no position whatsoever to defame contrary to what their system is built on. And this is the entity that has carved out its own placement with regard to understanding, studying, and making it publicly known. Mental illness that is born of the demon-possessed that engage in this criminal system, including those under the age of majority that are equally mentally ill and engaging in this sexually violent and psychopathic pattern of conduct. It is 10:41 a.m. I just want to make sure that all that is known. Martial law, literally by virtue of stalking in places like bathrooms where the entity is engaging in this P.O.C. 215 East C Street where the fake sun is present, and the evidence, remember, I'm walking out and the entity is walking under a fake sun stalking. As a whole library, that's as a whole city, as a whole population. Very sick group conduct. P.O.C. Alrighty, here is indeed stalking. You're looking at mental illness that is shared by the City of Ontario. The demons inside of the OVITT Family Community Library are stalking as I go toward the entrance where the fake sun is still present at 12:58 p.m. Remember, I entered and the entity is stalking under that fake sun entrance where the Ontario police are stalking. That's the same City of Ontario stalking in planes and helicopters, mental illness. Also shared while the fake sun is over, demons inside of the library are stalking inside of the building. The City of Ontario are demons maintaining light activity at the entrance, stalking with light, just like they do as I exit upon the closure of that library, stalking in the path, mentally ill behavior, stalking in planes and helicopters, and the fake sun is moving away from the library over me while you're understanding a whole city of the mentally ill are stalking, including while the government uses planes and helicopters. This is the entity that engages in criminal defamation, like what L. Edwards is stating, while this fake sun is over me on the same Euclid Avenue. This is the same street. That's Chevron right here. This is the P.O.C. where the government is stalking. Any demon, any light-slinging gargoyle, okay, any puppet of Satan, any delusional psychopath, any vagina monitoring stalker is in no position to ever defame someone else while they're stalking in planes and helicopters, okay? This is the necessity of martial law, which will be the shutdown of the Ontario International Airport, the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department, the removal of the Ontario Fire Department, that are all engaged in the fully exposed and very detailed documentation regarding the demon-possessed, the Nephilim, who are vagina monitoring, light-slinging gargoyles. They eat feces. They are actually mentally ill, and their mental illness is that which is revealing their criminal pattern of conduct, their obsession with. This is going on the playlist regarding mental illness. This is psychopathic pacing, and it's concentrated on where the fake sun is over me. And this is where the fake sun was this morning when I went inside of Chevron and the entity is stalking as an airport at this Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. This is the pattern of conduct, and this is where the entity is engaged in this. This is where they engaged in battery. The Ontario International Airport, the terrorists that engaged in battery as an entity, they engaged in criminal summoning, the demons that are mentally ill, that are eating feces, and then engaging what is battery, and then approaching me like D. Sousa and his demon-possessed partner, asking questions that they know the answer to. They're being removed altogether. They are being summarily removed from their duties, which never included criminal surveillance. The mentally ill are stalking as a population, and they're going to be removed from planes and helicopters and weapons and positions in the public where they pose a danger to American society, like the demon-possessed that are being proven gang stalking. This is P.O.C., and it is currently 1:15 p.m. I already took this walk across this parking lot to the library where the entity is stalking, and that fake sun remains over me, speaking to a whole mentally ill population that's doing cartwheels and planes stalking me, keeping my vagina under surveillance. Since you don't need an airport or a police department and a fire department, you will not have one. And martial law is going to deal with the mentally ill that are terrorists in California.